Hi everybody. Good question. Good question from the Twitch chat. GDog16. What's chess today? You know what? First of all, what is life, right? What is today in general? Why are we here? Those are questions that are probably on the same level of what's chess today, right? Purpose of existence, that kind of stuff. So chess today is a show where we intended for be a daily web series, initially hosted by myself, where take you through the process of what I do every day on chess.com, and with it do some chess and have a little bit of fun. But it's really a show about engaging with the members, a very quick show, almost a podcast format, where we're gonna do a half an hour of I'm gonna make moves in my daily chess games. We can see I've actually got 5 waiting for me here. I'm going to solve the daily puzzle. I'm going to check out the news and the articles and see if there's something that we can learn or take away or engage in some fun discussion with the members and in the chat. And then we're going to do a little bit of a feature, meaning we're going to do something, whether it's solve some puzzles together, do a drill together and provide some instruction on the specific drill, whether it's do the vision challenge. Anybody who follows me on Twitter knows that I'm currently obsessed with trying to expand my visual calculation, and Eric Hansen just beat my record, so I'm going to take him down. That's right, Chess Bras. So that's what this is about, and it's a show where I'm also going to be really paying attention to the chat even more than other shows, trying to answer your questions. So if you have any questions, please ask them, whether it's about chess.com, whether you have complaints, like seriously constructive feedback. Okay, this isn't a place for you to bark off and troll or anything, but if you have some constructive feedback you'd like to give, this is sort of anybody who knows the state of chess.com, which is our CEO Eric was hosting for a while. This is kind of going to be like a daily state of chess.com, a little more interactive, a little more educational, because I am going to be doing some chess. But also, it's going to be a show where if you can catch it live, if you have some time in the morning, catch it live and ask some questions in the chat, as I'm going to read both. So again, if you're watching this replay on my YouTube channel or on twitch.tv/chess, thanks for checking it out. And it is going to be on dailies at 8 a.m. Pacific. Now, it won't be every day. If we have like a huge event going on, or if we're embedding or having coverage of a Norway chess super final or a Tata Steel, then the show will take a back seat. But otherwise, it's going to be a daily show that we do to bring you into the life of yours truly as I start my day on chess.com, and then engage with you in the future. So without any further ado, while I see members are joining the chat, both at chess.com TV and at twitch.tv/chess, think of some good questions, maybe even advice. If you have questions about your chess game, that could be cool. So without any further ado, let's dive into me playing my game. So let's go over here and let's go play a daily chess game, shall we? Okay, so I've got this game going on with this guy. It's a French with a classical French. So obviously I'm going to take here. Some people play the Alekhine, Alyehin, Alyohin, Chatard attack. Not really my style. I know the main lines really well. So if you're wondering how we got here, this was a French. With a knight c3 variation. He played the classical rather than the winnower, which would have been with bishop to g5. With bishop b4. I played bishop g5, and the whole point is now I'm going to take here, submit my move, and to continue my plan will be something like f4 and knight f3 and queen d2. But if you're watching chess today, you'll know what my plan is, because we're going to do some games. We'll have a little fun providing some instructive analysis. So here my opponent played bishop to d2 in a Nimzo, which is usually just a straight-up mistake. I mean, white is just going to get a passive opening to start, so I'm going to develop my bishop to this diagonal. I'm currently playing in the 36th chess.com tournament. So if you're wondering how I have these games going, I like to play in our tournaments on chess.com. If we switch over here to full scene here, we'll say that I like to play in some tournaments on chess.com, so you can see that it's something that I like to do. I get interesting games. So here you can see what the tournament is. I'm paired in the 1800 2000 section. Yes, I suck at daily chess. Hold back the laughter. But it's mainly because I don't care if it's 3 days remove or not. I mean, I play just as fast in the middle game and end game. I don't really take my time. It's a problem I'm working on. But anyway, so this is some interesting games I have going, and I encourage everybody to play in a chess.com tournament. Those are free and pretty awesome. And you get paired against people in your own rating group. So he plays the knight d7 line. What do I want to play here? It's not my style to put any effort into what I'm doing, so let's avoid too much effort. But no, seriously, I do take these games a little more seriously, and I want to start out on the right foot. But I think he's going to go for the e5 line, so I'm just going to play the traditional knight f3, and okay, that brings us back. So now we're done. We're done with that. Done with our daily chess games. Let's go back to the main site and jump over and solve the daily puzzle, shall we? So anyway, I don't know how many games you guys have going on at chess.com at once. I tend to have like at least 3, sometimes upwards of like 10, but probably like 3 to 5 maybe is kind of my max in terms of how many games I have going at once. So what's going on with the daily puzzle today? Instantly see the mate in 2. If you don't see it, then you can mute me or pause your video or something. Okay, usually, I don't know if you know this, but the chess.com daily puzzle gets more difficult throughout the week. So if you don't solve the daily puzzle, you should. It's just like a fun little thing to do. And by the time Friday and Saturday comes, I mean, I get stumped on a regular basis. So at least in terms of the amount of time you can really commit to a daily puzzle. But this is pretty simple. One of the things that's easiest about solving puzzles like this is that you just know exactly what you're going for. Most of the time, there's something epic. Unlike our own tactics trainer, right? The puzzle trainer is much more difficult, much more practical, and much more challenging of, you could be trying to draw or just, win a pawn on the edge of the board. But these positions are pretty simple. But advice for beginners, and that's what we do a lot of, is checks, captures, tempo moves. So immediately you consider checks around the king. And in this case, every check that white has available walks into a capture. I saw it instantly because it's a pattern that I'm familiar with. That's why the more you do tactics, the better you get at them. So I knew right away that bishop to g7 would be checkmate if I could just get this knight out of the way, right? So the most forcing way to get the knight out of the way is not to do any sort of sacrifice. Though, by the way, funny fact is I'm thinking that queen takes f5 is probably also winning here, because black has no forcing moves. So if you played queen takes f5, no matter how they take back with the pawn or the queen, you checkmate them in the same way. But it's not a forced mate in 2, which is why it's not going to be the answer. The answer is going to be queen h6, and after they take it, we're going to get bishop to g7 mate. So there you go. That's our next thing we're going to do here on this Chess Today show. And now we're going to take a quick break as we've done some of our initial chess and check out some of the questions. Let's start out with Twitch. Are DGT boards comparable with chess.com? It's a completely different, I mean, you're talking about a physical hardware that relays, are they compatible? No, you're saying comparable. They are compatible. A lot of the live relays you see in chess.com/live, I mean, when we're at the Reykjavik tournament or doing any kind of on-site production, I mean, we have live PGN feeds that go into the live server so you can observe games from top tournaments. So they are compatible. We do have the software for it. Are they comparable? Comparable seems like a weird word. It's a physical hardware that's designed to digitally relay the moves to a URL in the cloud, right? So I don't know how to answer that question. Still recommend Soltis Pawn Structure book or the Grandmaster Guide by Rios is better in your opinion. I don't know if I've read the Grandmaster Guide by Rios, Z Nation. That's a good question. I do recommend the Pawn Structure book by Soltis. It's not, it's not a home run. It's a very organized approach to looking at pawn structures, which I appreciate. If you want me to, Winning Middle Game Strategies by Yvonne Sokolov, who now does videos for chess.com. If you're not watching Sokolov's videos, you're missing out. He's great. So Winning Middle Game Strategies. Do I have that book right here to show you? Yes, I do. Oh, wait, it's Winning Chess Middle Games. My bad. So this is one I'm actually in the middle of reading it. I've made some notes. You can see the bookmark. So I don't get to do any of my own chess that often, but this is Winning Chess Middle Games by Yvonne Sokolov. Highly recommend it. Phenomenal book, and basically a focus on pawn structures. That and Winning Pawn Structures by Baburin. Those are some more advanced takes on pawn structures, Z Nation, but that should help. Can chess.com improve the design of the site? Their user base is the best, but design is not. I think our new design of the site is actually phenomenal. I think it's, given everything that's available on chess.com and so much original content, which other sites don't really have in that way. I mean, I think I like our new design. But if you have some specific feedbacks about what you don't like, are you using what I'm using here? Are you using this right here? I mean, if I browse the main, I don't know if you're using V3, but the left side nav allows me to do everything so quickly, and everything's bigger. So when I go to play, if I go to like play some sort of game, I mean, every board is so big, and it's so easy to toggle and make it instantly the size of my browser. I mean, I love my new site. So if you have some specific things that you don't like, I mean, the content is really big and visual in your face. And on that note, let's move into the content portion of the show. So one of the other things I want to do after the show is always going to start with my daily chess games, and then a daily puzzle. And then let's check out the content. Ooh, Mohamed Yarab breaks 2000. I believe it or not, even though I'm like the head of content, apparently that's some title I was given a long ago, but I actually don't get a chance to read our content as much as I would like. So this show is going to be a great excuse for me to be in touch with things. Mohamed Yarab just broke 2800. Catches ding in Moscow. First of all, that's like Peter literally published this like 20 minutes ago or an hour ago. Look at that time. So Peter literally just published this, so that's awesome. I doubt any of you have had a chance to check this out either. Look at the live ratings. Mohamed Yarab is now number 5. Amazing. And I was just talking about Mohamed Yarab not getting enough love in Chess Center, so that's sweet. But yeah, he's a stud. And honestly, Mohamed Yarab is one of the most enjoyable people. If you don't go over Mohamed Yarab's games, he plays Mikhail Tal style chess. He's so fun to watch. I love watching Mohamed Yarab's chess. So, by the way, the chat is just blowing up right now with questions. Thank you guys so much for taking advantage of my interactive invite. I didn't really expect to get a lot of questions, but thank you for being here, and this is a lot of fun. So, but we're gonna have to balance. Obviously, I'm not gonna be able to get to everybody's questions. So, but that doesn't stop you from asking them. Okay, so anyway, this was interesting. Mohamed Yarab goes for the he sacrifices this e7 pawn, and then what is he gonna trap the queen? I just like to go through the games really quickly. Queen to d8's a nice move. He abandons the queen on this awkward square here where he's got a threat of g5. Tempo. Interesting. So how does he win this game? I mean, right now, isn't he just down? No, he's not down a pawn. I guess material's equal. But white's king is potentially open. Attack d goes. Look at that. Out of the blue. Knight takes e4. What's the idea? If queen takes, the idea is bishop to d5. And after the queen moves, everybody, the bishop on f3 is pinned to the king, so the rook hangs. Look at that little sexy combination. Bishop d5 is coming. Mohamed Yarab finds a nice little tactic, and that changes the game. Now white goes on tilt and sacrifices a piece, but doesn't get enough of an attack, and eventually he stops the perpetual check to win. All right, so interesting stuff. We're not going to spend a ton of time on the news, but I do like just checking out. Dayan Boykov does Game of the Day analysis. We put a lot of effort into the news reports, and I'm not trying to toot our own horn. It's just like if you're serious about chess coverage on the web, like you pretty much can't get anything better. I mean, we literally hire a grandmaster to do some sort of in-depth analysis every day, and we really take our news coverage super seriously, despite the fact that Aegon and the World Chess Federation is a complete nightmare and mess, and they make it very, very difficult to cover. Did I just say that out loud? Yeah, I did. Anyway, so there we go. So there's some news. Look, what else we got going on? We already solved the daily puzzle. I think Serper's recent article was really good. So if you want to check that out, I highly recommend it. Now let's. One of the things that Serper does a good job of is bringing in, like old school Russian things like this, right? The School of Chess Excellent by Mark Dvoretsky is like worshipped by every Russian schoolboy, every son of the Soviet school. But he does a great job of bringing in old school Russian chess culture with modern times. That's why he writes so many good pop culture articles where he tries to relate something that's going on, something in the world, whether it's elections or celebrity stuff. So I really like that part of Greg's articles, and I think he makes a huge effort. So that's cool. All right, so we've done our news and articles. Now let's go back to some of the questions. Chess TV question time. Hacklover says he applied for a job as a mod, and he has not heard back. That's not my department. Believe it or not, chess.com with more than we have almost 100 salary employees now. We have so many people that are just doing great things for our company in the chess world, and we're just so fortunate. Honestly, it's amazing. So I literally can't, I don't run every department. I am not in charge of mods or support, although just the fact that we had this conversation means that probably somebody who is watching, so they will reach out to you. But I am not really in charge of that, buddy. So if you don't get a mod job, don't blame me either. Dagauer gives us some love. Chess.com, he loves our site. Awesome, love to hear that. What would I recommend for a near 2000 USCF player? That comes from a Diamond member, Shield of Faith, 13. Well, getting to 2200 is obviously one of the most difficult jumps somebody can make. I mean, the 200-point swing, 2000 to 2200, is fair to say equivalent to like at least a 500-point swing, 1500 to 2000, maybe even 1400. I mean, it's a very, very, in terms of your chess understanding, you make a huge jump. And then I would say 2200 to 2400, and like where you go from being a master to a title player. I mean, there's a reason why only the IM and GM title are lifetime titles, the ones that aren't by rating. They're the only ones that, tomorrow I could wake up and have forgotten how the pieces move and they can't take my title from me. Think of it, it's very difficult to do, but here's what I would say. I would say that your practice has to be much more deliberate, Shield of Faith. You have to really want, like, for example, you cross a certain line where in terms of your chess, it's no longer about how much time I'm putting in. I'll do 30 minutes of tactics, then I'm going to do 20 minutes of videos, and then I'm going to go play chess, and guess what? That sounds like a really balanced approach to chess. Like, okay, that's great, but maybe your specific weakness is endgames, and like that entire 2 hours should be put only into endgames every freaking day until you're an endgame master. Okay, or maybe it's your opening repertoire because you're not doing well in the opening. So the point is, notice the difference in my advice. My advice is no longer, hey, just spend 2 hours doing chess every day. My advice is you should be very deliberate in your practice. You should know what your weaknesses are from your own very critical self-reflection. If you're not being self-reflective or critical, that's a you problem. All right, you got to be able to be like, God, I suck at this, this, and this. If you really want to get better. As a person and a chess player, right? That's facts. So that's, if you're being self-reflective, you have a much better chance, but I would say you have to be very deliberate. So you need to find somebody, if you don't have a coach, have somebody go over your game, figure out where you really feel like you're struggling, and your deliberate practice should be on one thing at a time, because then you're doing a different type of measurable success. You're doing I'm focused on becoming a better endgame player. I need to improve my understanding of the technical endgames I can be faced with. Rook endings, obscure bishop endings, minor piece endings, king and pawn, and like, so you dive in, and so what happens is you make chess a much more controllable experience instead of this bigger picture. I'm putting in 2 hours of chess every day, Danny. Why am I not getting better? Right? Well, the thing is, at that level, you probably need to be really specific and deliberate. So that's my advice. And by the way, you just literally like went to a doctor and said, I'm sick, make me better without any symptoms. So I've gotten pretty good at this, all right? Considering that I know nothing about your games. It's really what I'm saying, it's an unfair question to ask of me to say, how do I get better at this level? When, like, ask any chess coach, they're going to tell you, like, I mean, well, I don't know. I mean, what are you struggling with? What's your problem, right? And so it's like going to a doctor and saying you're sick with no symptoms description. So I'm giving you what I know to be universally important, because I also believe that psychologically a lot of people screw up their chess by being non-deliberate, by being, I'm just putting in time. Why am I not getting better? And this can apply to even 1800s, struggling to get to 2000, or even 1600s. If you're a strong tournament player and you're not getting better, you might be doing it wrong. So that's my advice. Good question, Rosh and Am. What do I think the rating difference should be between a coach and student? Another premium member question. I don't know. I mean, I think that's a very... If you feel like you're getting better from someone from advice, I mean, like I've given advice and taken advice from people of my strength, weaker than my strength, lower than my strength. I think if you can remove the ego and you feel like somebody challenges you and is critical, that's value. In general, I think at least a 600-point rating difference from the beginning, like up until about I think if you're like a 1600 player, you should probably be getting lessons from a master. Now, your friend who's 1800 might give you a gem of advice. And if you let your ego away, if you put your ego out of the way and you let your guard down, maybe advice comes from your 5-year-old. I don't know. I mean, to me, I think if you're open to learning something new, then that's always valuable. But if you're asking from an X's and O's perspective, probably you need like at least a 2400 player giving like a master. I mean, like as you get higher, the difference is less. Like an IM like me, I mean, I teach chess camps where I've taught people that are 2400 and they've learned a lot, right? Because I'm also an over the hill IM who has a lot of experience because I've screwed up chess so many times, more times than you ever could. So if you have somebody who's a good communicator, that's value. If you're willing to take advice from someone and they're willing to be critical, that's value. From an X's and O's perspective, I think IMs and GMs are probably capable of giving advice to pretty much every level. I mean, even like, you know, even though I'm not a GM and I see some questions in the chat being like, Danny, why aren't you a GM? And I'm not a chess professional anymore. I'm an amateur. That's the truth. I'm a chess entertainer. I'm a professional broadcaster. I manage chess.com. But the bottom line truth is I'm not a very strong chess professional anymore. I've reached about a 2500 level. I don't play. Maybe someday that'll change. I would love for that to change. But right now, the bottom line is you can't claim to be a chess professional if you don't play in tournaments professionally. But I think you need at least probably 400, maybe 600 rating points. So that's a good question. I am not coming to the Castle Chess Camp this year, VPanda. Jennifer and the wonderful organizers there invited me, but I am not able to do it. So sorry about that. A lot of other questions coming in. This show is turning into a lot of Q&A, which is kind of fun because people seem to be liking that. There was a big questions controversy. I'm not going to discuss that situation with DeLugi, not going to do it for a number of reasons, and I just don't engage in that stuff, and that's where I'm going to leave that. Nice hair, thanks, appreciate that. I can say that we do more in terms of statistical measurement and investment into the future of analyzing what's capable and what's possible of human beings and chess players as it relates to engines then you would not. I mean, we do a very good job, and I can say that at the very least we are safely conservative in all of our decisions, and we are prepared to stand by them legally. That's what I can say on the record. I can say that we've invested a lot. We wouldn't be putting the kind of money into the chess world that we are if we weren't prepared to do so, because otherwise we would be throwing money away, right? I mean, we feel like we're giving back a lot. I mean, chess.com, the Pro Chess, the Speed Chess, and I can say that we are prepared to stand by the investment we've made. So you can read into that what you want, and that's all I'm going to say on everything. So there we go. A lot of other questions and good stuff. So now in our last 10 minutes of the show, we're going to do a feature. I love that, by the way, feature. A feature. Now we're going to do a feature. And so sometimes I think what we'll do is, we'll do... Well, we've got all these features here, right? We've got puzzles, we've got lessons. Obviously I'm not going to just sit here and watch a video with each other while we hold hands, right? But I want to do something that's a little interactive. So I want to do today. Let's do a drill. Drills are becoming more and more popular, as they should be, because for a long time on our old site, it was really one of the most underrated tools. That was partly because we were really failing in how we delivered it. I think it's so much fun to do. I mean, obviously you see I'm a decently active driller. And the point is that you're playing, a 3300 Stockfish engine at a position that you should win. One of the best ways to get ready for a tournament is to ruthlessly be a masochist and play a computer. Seriously, if you play a computer and they just beat you over and over again for your unwillingness to realize how, their plan, it just builds this prophylacticness in your approach where you're just more on the edge of your seat, always expecting there to be a combination. And I'm telling you, it's really good to be a jaded, cynical chess player. You will grow more from that than always thinking that your plans are brilliant. So let's do I don't know. The master games are kind of cool. I haven't done an imbalance, so let's bring the imbalances together. Let's play a bishop and knight position versus a rook. And again, every drill has an intro. 2 is better than 1, but can you win with it? Here's a few tips when fighting with minors against a rook. First, keep control. Second, try not to trade pawns. Third, keep the rook from getting active. Fourth, probe the opponent's pawn structure to create weaknesses. Okay, interesting stuff. I didn't even write that. Somebody else from our amazing team did. Let's do this. All right. So, we know how this goes. The rook is going to try to dominate. I'm actually going to activate my pieces and probe his pawns to advance forward. He gave me an excellent move on that. Well, that's nice to know. I'm going to advance my king now. Get the king to the center, and We get one try. I'm not going to do more than once. We get one try against the drill, and again, this is a really fun exercise. I appreciate. I mean, here I'm playing a 3300 computer here, right? I mean, try and get it, people, right? This is stockfish. So, yes, the miners are better than the rook. I should win this game, but this is not an easy one to win, right? My advantage is really only very simple. It's the extra coordination and things you can do with two pieces you can't with one. But okay, white is definitely better here. So if I do this right, you would like to think I should be able to get a win. Okay. I'm going to advance, and I'm trying to create a scenario where my knight can continue to probe and create weaknesses. That's going to be the idea. So if I play king up, he has c5. That's one of the things playing computers makes you realize. You always got to be thinking, what is their next move? Not what do I want to do, what is their next move? So I'm trying to be careful here. I'm trying to advance and probe, but also be deliberate in my approach. Be very careful of what his next move is. So now the b7 pawn is officially weak. It would make sense for me to remaneuver, and once you put a piece on that square, the advantage is, it should be really hard for him. It should be really hard for him to make progress. So if I put the knight to c5, okay, I like this idea, though I'm not sold that the knight's going to be staying there. Yeah, he's going to try to activate his rook, which I respect. Got to respect that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to actually probe a weakness here. Probe f5. See, you have to allow pawns to advance, because now that creates more weaknesses and easier to target things, right? It opens up squares where my knight can jump in. So even if that wasn't the most theoretically accurate way the computer thinks I should have played this, I feel like my goal of being able to use the knight and bishop together remains. Okay, so f2 is really my only weakness here. I guess I just have to be careful about the f2 pawn. I'd like to think I could run in, but why do that? I need to calculate some way to be concrete here. If the king comes up and he goes after the b pawn, he's going to get all these pawns. And you don't want to get into a race. The biggest mistake the minor pieces can make against the rook is getting into a race. If you get into a race, the rook can compete and be the better piece in those scenarios. So you want to kind of really be focused on strangling, maneuvering, and try to probe for weaknesses without allowing it to get out of control. I'm going to play here. I'm trying to be patient. Ooh, that was a mistake. I missed that, actually. Uh-oh. Well, I did just that. I just blundered. Right after I said, don't do that. I did that. But okay, I mean, this is far from simple for him. Yeah, I think that's his best. So what I have to do is get a passed pawn. And I'd also like to get the b7 pawn. If takes, he takes, and I play knight e5. He's going to play a5. So the issue is I'm in danger of creating a scenario where his a pawn is going to run. Yeah, I just totally blundered c5. That's why the computers are so tough. This is why this is tough, which is why the drills are so useful and good. Wonder if I should just take a draw. Let's see how he handles this. Ooh, interesting. Wow, I just really messed that up, huh? Now he likes his position. Terrible technique. Terrible technique. The problem is his A-pawn is just going to be too strong. I have no way to really... I probably should have played knight f4 and come back, but this is so tough. Oh man, the engine is going to beat me. I'm not surprised, honestly. I mean, I'm not surprised at all that I lost, in case you're wondering. Yeah, no, I'm not surprised at all. Okay, I'm just going to play it out till he gets a queen, and then I'll resign so everybody can see it. I don't want to resign prematurely if there are players who don't quite understand why I'm lost, but I'm lost because I can't prevent him from getting a queen. So, what happened here? Back in this position, yeah, this was okay. I mean, even letting his rook get active was okay. Probably from a patience and discipline perspective against a human being, maybe I would have played bishop e2. The point is, like, as much of an advantage as this is, I mean, the current evaluation according to the engine is what? I mean, it's about +2 for white. But in a practical setting, you know, it's really, really tough without some sort of clear weaknesses. Maybe I need to be more aggressive and try to open up lines. But as soon as his rook gets active, I started, you know, so here I was still, I think here, okay, up till here I was doing okay. And then he played, no, I played g3. So g3 was a mistake to loosen the defense of the bishop. And that allowed the whole combination that happened. If I play knight d3 and start this path right away, I'm probably still better. I mean, you know. But here's what happened, everybody. I blundered with this move knight to d3. I missed c5. The whole point is that I was overloaded here. If I take with the knight, he wins the bishop. If I take with the king, he wins the knight. So I had to take with the pawn, and then that allowed the scenario to be exactly what I said you shouldn't allow, which is where the rook has a passed pawn, and then the rook is very good in the open board. So okay, if it's instructive to see how I totally butchered that, then you're welcome. I think if I played this one again, I would be a little more disciplined in not allowing his rook to get active right away, and maybe choose even a more aggressive plan on the queen side after getting the backward pawn. I felt really good about the position right about here. I was like, this is pretty good, right? I mean, he's got this backward b7 pawn and whatever, but it shows you that playing against an engine is really, really hard, and you lose all the time. You just got to you're just going to lose a lot. So get used to it. And that should be the thing that you challenge yourself with is, you know, start with the biggest advantages and then slowly work your way to smaller and smaller advantages. I mean, obviously, if we're talking about the drills, you know, if you start with like the basic checkmates, these are really good. You know, you can see that I've done the ones with a check mark, mainly for testing reasons, but you got the knight and bishop mate. You should do all of these. You should be able to beat the computer in all of these, and believe it or not, it gets down to being really, really difficult. And so if you can work your way through that stuff, then maybe you get a better feel for how disciplined you have to be against the computer, and you give it a try. So there you go, though. But that was fun. Let's do a teeny bit more Q&A. And then we're going to wrap up our first ever Chess Today. Tomorrow's Chess Today will be at 8 a.m. Pacific time. Most of the time they will be early in the morning. Unless we have special events, then we probably won't have it. But that's what I did today on May 15th, 2017. And thanks for being here. Last set of questions. John and Danny, in my opinion, are the two best IM coaches you got. Well, thanks for that, buddy. Felix doesn't like this show. That's okay, buddy. This show's not going to be for everybody. It's okay. This is a show that's supposed to be a little bit, you know, kind of just taking you through the day, giving some practical advice. If you missed earlier, I was giving more of some specific, you know, advice on some general questions, and that's what this is about. And then we're reviewing chess.com. The last thing I like to do before we leave every day is I do want to check the the Chess TV schedule. So one of the things I like to do is remind everybody that we have other shows coming up. So if we go to Chess TV and we scroll down and we get the schedule up. So after Chess Today, we have a 5 p.m. show with Grandmaster Alex Yermolinsky. So check that out and see if you haven't joined Grandmaster Yermolinsky's game, you know, where he's playing the members, you should join it. Tomorrow we've got a preview show by the Chess Bras. What are they previewing? The European Championship, okay. And then we got a show with me tomorrow. That's cool. Amateur Hour will be back tomorrow, so that should be fun. Anyway, just like to check on the show schedule, so everyone knows our next show is at 5 p.m. today. There's a beat. Yeah, Dez on Twitch is saying there's a beat Stockfish with a lead in development that's really hard. It is really hard. Not really going to talk about Shark Tank, guys. Not sure if it's going to work out or not. It's very, very difficult. They have a ton of criteria, and so we're not really able to talk about it at this point. Thanks everybody for being here. Looks like we've run into some other questions. Running out on Twitch. Go back to chess.com TV. What are our questions here? Hello, Danny. I'm a computer science student and web developer. How can I go about contributing back to the site? I would love to help some this summer. Reach out. Send me a message. Send me a message. I mean, right now we don't really have intern roles like that. We don't really have temp positions to help out, but you never know. It could be fun to do some, so go ahead and send me a message. No, Golden Star, you cannot have a Lifetime Diamond membership. Not right now. Not right now. Become Master, and then you can. What else do we got? Can I speak on Tactics Trainer changes? Yeah, there were some changes to the algorithms. I actually like the most recent changes. We're working really hard to just make it the most amazing tool ever. That's what I'll say there, Sakarich, because we want it to be challenging, but also fun. We want it to be, the algorithms that go into perfecting that system where we feel like somebody's always getting one that they could solve, but the time and the practical delivery of the positions is something we work on all the time. I think I don't want to speak too much on the algorithm one because it's kind of boring math, but I do actually really like the latest changes. So if you solve puzzles lately, I'd be curious to think your feedback. Like the most recent is in like just a couple days ago. They went live. And all right, well, that's going to be it. We're going to wrap it up right here. Thanks, everybody, for being here for the Chess Today show. I'll see you tomorrow morning, and have fun. Go ahead and try out the stuff on chess.com. Try out the drill that I just did there, the minor piece for the rook. Actually, don't. That was really painful. Don't go try that drill. I'm sorry. That was horrible advice. I take it back. Peace out, everybody.